Imagine you wake up after a wild beach party with all your friends, only to discover the shoreline has become a death trap and something horrifying has emerged from the sand to pick you off one by one. Sounds terrifying, right? Well, that's exactly what happens in The Sand 2015. Stick around, because today on Movie Recaps Hub podcast, we're diving into this intense beach horror where every step could be your last. Hey everyone, welcome back to Movie Recaps Hub podcast. I'm your host, and today we're unpacking The Sand from 2015. If you love deep dives into movies, especially those that make your skin crawl, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get into it. Picture this. A huge group of college students descends on a secluded beach late at night, drinks in hand, ready for a carefree, wild party. Our key players include Kaylee, Mitch, Marsha, Vance, Gilbert, Jonah, Ronnie, and Chanda. Early on, Mitch is the voice of caution. He urges everyone to stash their phones in a bag, so there's no evidence of any potentially incriminating antics. Little does he know, that bag of phones will become a crucial detail later when they need help. Suddenly, Vance and Gilbert show up with a bizarre find: a gelatinous ball of goo washed ashore. They think, let's build a bigger bonfire and burn it. But before they can act, a spat breaks out. Insults are thrown, tempers flare, and the goo ball is forgotten in the chaos. The party rages on through the night. The next morning, Kaylee stirs awake beside Mitch in the lifeguard stand, awkwardly recalling last night's closeness. Meanwhile, in a car parked nearby, four friends wake up groggy. Marsha finds herself on a table and immediately vomits, clearly disoriented. Kaylee peers out. The beach is strangely empty of people, littered only with abandoned items. No other revelers in sight. That's our first unsettling clue. Then, Kaylee spots something shocking: a bird stuck in the sand. And as she watches, it begins to sink. Alarm bells ring. When Marsha tries to move off the table, Kaylee frantically warns her not to step down, but it's too late. Marsha's feet sink into the sand and won't budge. Her hands touch the sand and stick too. At first, the others think she's pulling a prank, but her screams and tears prove its real terror. Vance bravely, or recklessly, leaps out to help Marsha, ignoring others' pleas. He takes a few steps, then he's stuck, screaming in pain. Mitch and Jonah want to rush in, but the girls hold them back, terrified of the same fate. Vance sinks deeper. Jonah tries the car, but the battery is dead, so they can't drive away. Mitch flings a buoy tied to rope toward Vance, but it falls short. Horror mounts. Vance's face is partially consumed by the sand. Thin strands pull him down, and within minutes, both Marsha and Vance vanish under the surface. With two friends gone, the survivors realize they can't call 911. Phones are locked in the trunk. Jonah tries the car again, but the battery's truly dead. Stranded and terrified, Kaylee inches a hand near the sand, without touching, and sees mysterious strands writhing up. Their dread deepens. Something alive lurks beneath. At that moment, Gilbert awakens. He'd been trapped in a trash can as a prank, face doodled on. He complains bitterly about being left there, oblivious to the horror unfolding. Only when they mention two deaths does he pause. Stiff and sore, he's reminded the tide will soon push him toward them. Kaylee hauls Mitch into the lifeguard stand. Jonah looks on jealously, and Chanda urges him to let personal drama wait. Survival is priority now. Hours pass. The sun climbs, the air grows scorching. Strands creep toward the car tires. Kaylee and Mitch find alcohol in a cooler and take swigs, trying to steady nerves. The others huddle under a towel to shield from the heat. No help arrives. Kaylee finally asks Mitch what actually happened last night. He assures her they only talked, though tension lingers. Hunting for sunscreen, Mitch finds a bottle in the lifeguard stand and tosses it to the car group, both for sun protection and to keep spirits up. As they talk, a grim realization hits. The rest of the partygoers didn't leave. They were devoured by the sand monster. Everyone breaks down crying, except Gilbert, who panics because the heat burns his exposed skin. Jonah tosses him sunscreen, calming him for a moment. Then Kaylee notices the goo ball from last night. It's dried, cracked in two. Ronnie inspects it and says, "It looks like an egg that hatched." That means the creature in the sand has only recently come into being and is still small but deadly. Kaylee seizes a sausage from the cooler and tosses it onto the sand. Sure enough, strands emerge and drag it underground. They throw more sausages. Each is claimed by the sand monster, until one is thrown beyond the strand's reach. That area becomes their temporary safe zone, though it's still perilously close. Tensions flare again. Ronnie points out no cars or people have passed this beach in hours, so rescue seems unlikely. Undeterred, Jonah grabs two surfboards from the back of the car, lays them on the sand, and steps onto them. The monster's strands ignore them there, so he can move without sinking. Kaylee warns him, "Watch your fingers! Don't get too close to the sand." As Jonah edges toward a bench, he suddenly halts, insisting they need to address last night's cheating drama among friends. The group protests, "Now is not the time to argue." Jonah persists. Nearing the bench, the surfboard nearly slips, but he grabs hold. Strands begin tugging at the boards, but he presses on. Then they creep under him, latching onto his stomach. He leaps to a nearby table, but the strands leave bleeding wounds, making him dizzy. He collapses briefly, hearing ringing in his ears. After a moment, he sits up, groaning that it feels like 1,000 jellyfish. Ronnie suggests the strands are poisonous since the wounds burn intensely. Jonah searches a bag on the bench and drops a banana. Curious, he lowers it to the sand, but it sinks as usual. He then places it on a cleared bonfire spot. Nothing happens. Jumping back to that spot, he confirms the monster avoids areas touched by fire. Elated by this insight, he eats the banana, only to watch pus ooze from his wounds. Kaylee steadies him. "Get back on the table. Search again." He finds drinks and tosses cans to friends, but the bench cracks under him. He slips. Wounds worsen, yet he hauls himself up again. Meanwhile, the surfboards slide away on their own. Evidence the monster is reclaiming anything that might aid them. Strands also snake under the car, wrapping tires to further immobilize them. Gilbert asks about phones. Ronnie tries to pull back the seats but fails. Decides to stand on the hot bumper, covering it with a towel first. Before climbing, she hands Chanda a letter she's written for her mom, in case something happens. Holding Chanda's hand for balance, Ronnie crawls onto the trunk, but the lid slips, catching her legs. She falls atop it, then the trunk slams shut again. Kaylee notes the trunk is too wide for this tactic. They roll up the towel to extend reach, still not enough. Mitch and Kaylee recall a rescue hook in the lifeguard stand. They pass it down. Despite the car shaking as the monster pierces tires, Ronnie carefully uses the hook to open the trunk. Just then, another car appears on the beach and honks loudly, startling her. She slips. The trunk closes on her fingers, leading to screams. The group frantically waves to attract the newcomer's attention. The new car stops near them. Officer Alex of Beach Patrol rolls down his window, telling them the beach is closed. They explain the horror, but he thinks they're drunk and dismisses the story. Ignoring warnings, he exits the car. At first, nothing happens. He checks on Jonah and Gilbert without issue because his boots protect him from the strands. He mockingly teases Gilbert, then attempts to free him, but fails. Next, he tries to pull Ronnie's trapped fingers out, also fails. Still unconvinced, Alex argues with Kaylee and Mitch, threatening to force them down from the lifeguard stand. Reaching for pepper spray, he drops his keys. When he bends to pick them up, his hand gets stuck by the strands. Kaylee yells for him to use pepper spray on the strands. Alex sprays. The strands recoil, freeing his hand. But then Alex realizes his arm beneath the sand has already been eaten. He screams as he begins to sink. Ronnie uses a ramp on the lifeguard stand to reach the pepper spray, but ignores Alex's cries for help, and Alex is dragged down to his death. Inspired by Alex's boots, Mitch puts on flip-flops and asks Chanda for towels to cover his feet. He catches the first towel, but as he reaches for the second, the railing breaks and he falls onto the sand. Instantly, the monster's strands snatch at him, grabbing all reachable flesh. The friends watch in horror as Mitch bleeds and sinks. The strands disintegrate his shirt and emerge from his eyes and mouth. Once he's gone, his blood stains mark the spot of his death. Kaylee sees the monster moving the broken railing and tells Chanda to grab pieces. They break more railing. Kaylee tosses pieces and a towel to Chanda. Risking exposure, Kaylee jumps from the stand onto the car roof. In a tense moment, she punches Chanda for flirting with Jonah. The girls declare they're even now. Jonah apologizes to Kaylee for past wrongs, and they say, "I love you." Gilbert, using dwindling strength, turns in the trash can to communicate, even as strands reach for his dripping blood. They free Ronnie's hand and bandage it with a towel. Using railing pieces laid across the sand, they form a makeshift bridge. Chanda crosses first, explaining she did nothing with Jonah last night. Kaylee follows to reach Jonah. Ronnie tries next, distracted by blood on the towel. As she loses balance, Kaylee sprays pepper spray to hold off the strands briefly. Ronnie seems fine initially, but the monster grabs her other arm and she begins to sink. The friends weep. Unaware, the strands are creeping toward Gilbert in the trash can. Chanda adopts Mitch's towel-on-feet idea, runs across the sand, and gets onto Alex's car roof. Gilbert feels the trash can shifting, panics, brief relief, then spits blood as tentacles burst from the can, wrapping his body. He's dragged under, leaving a trail of blood. The monster shakes Alex's car. Chanda falls on the hood, hits her head, and blacks out. Hours pass. Night falls. Chanda regains consciousness and sees a raft on top of the car. She tosses it onto the sand toward the table so she can help Kaylee bring Jonah's body into the vehicle. Suddenly, the ground trembles. Kaylee falls back onto the raft. As she tries to return to the car, a glowing tentacle bursts up. She dodges, but it slams the door shut. She climbs onto the car, grabs a gas can, but another tentacle destroys it, spilling fuel on itself. Kaylee grabs a second can, empties it onto the sand, and retrieves matches from her pocket. When the tentacle attacks again, she lights a match and hurls it, setting the tentacle ablaze. The creature screeches, recoils. Chanda opens the car door. Kaylee climbs inside. The monster tries to force the door and batters the car with larger strands, but ultimately disappears. Inside, the girls catch their breath and realize Jonah is dead. Tears flow as they mourn their last friend. The next morning, a surfer finds the abandoned car and raps on the window, waking Kaylee and Jonda. They step onto the sand unharmed, sign that the monster has left this beach. As they begin the walk home, the final chilling image, the creature swimming back into the sea, seeking a new shore and fresh victims. The terror might be over here, but it's far from finished. Wow, that was The Sand, 2015. A brutal reminder that sometimes what emerges from the depths is far worse than anyone imagines. If you enjoyed this recap and survived along with Kaylee and Chanda, please give this video a thumbs up. Share your thoughts in the comments. What moment shocked you most? And don't forget to subscribe to Movie Recaps Hub podcast for more deep dives into horror, thrillers, and beyond. Thanks for listening. Stay safe and maybe avoid deserted beaches at night. And I'll catch you next time on Movie Recaps Hub podcast.